Hello there and welcome to Simon's Shed. It's time for another layout update on the Severn Valley Railway. Filmed quite a bit of stuff, varied bits of stuff over the last few months, and finally got around to editing it all together and doing a little intro to put at the start of the video, which is this. So I've got a bit of a reminder because some of it was filmed quite a while ago of what I did. So I have done laid the final bit of track for the Severn Valley Railway layout. You'll have to excuse the doors banging in the background. It's rather windy, but I need them open to let some light in so you can actually see me. So the final bit of track is laid. I've done some shed additions and alterations and tidy ups, so I'll go through that. There's a bit about the Class 08 and making that run a lot smoother, and that involves things like measuring DCC track voltage and adjusting DCC track voltage for the Z21 if you don't have the black box version. If you have the white one, there is a way to adjust it, not with the device itself but with some diodes, which I'll show you later. Then I'm going to show you my point control panel, again controlled by the Z21, and I'm going to show you programming and installing the Cobalt IP digital point motors, of which I bought half of the amount that I needed for the layout, and yeah, I've started programming those up and putting those in. So yeah, it's quite a long video, so I won't ramble on any longer. Just a quick note to say I had a message from Sim, who used to do the Burton on Humber channel, and he, for whatever reason, has had to sell up a lot of his rolling stock, and said could he send me one or two bits, and this is what he sent me. So wow, yeah, I wasn't expecting that. So that's very generous. Thanks for that, Sim. I will put it all to good use. Some of it will be great for the new layout, some of it will be fit in well on Bodden Woods on the old layout. But yes, I'll put it all to good use, so thanks very much for that. Right, let's crack on. So yes, this is it, the final bit of track laid for the Severn Valley Railway. So it is the section that comes off Kidderminster. So Kidderminster station, it comes out here, and there is a turntable and a little head shunt and a line coming into the turntable. Need to stick a little bit of track here, and there's a couple of lines here going off to the new diesel depot. But I can't actually do anything about that at the moment because I need to keep taking the turntable in and out until I decide whether to motorise it or not, and weather it up and things like that. So it still needs to be removable at the moment because obviously the tracks need to just overlap the edge a little bit. So this board, yeah, I just obviously cut the right shape hole for the turntable, and I've left this loose for now, as I say, until I get the turntable finally fixed down in place. And we've got the point in so that the loco can go into this little yard area. But it's done, track laying is finished. So I have got a few little shed updates to show you. First of all, there's a lot more space for me to actually walk through here now because I've had a bit of a tidy up and a hoover and moved a few things out of the way. One of the main things that was in the way was this old set of drawers here. That's quite useful, but too big to go underneath the layout. Or it was, until I sawed off the bottom section, so that's the bottom drawer there, and it now fits rather nicely, so that can live under there. And I've got my airbrush compressor and stuff in there, and lots of bits and bobs, so that's useful. And also, rather than keep lifting this bridge up to get out, I've just been sort of stepping over onto the old step and sort of leaping over that way. That's a lot easier, so I might do something a bit more permanent with that. Maybe put something over the track, like a little tunnel to protect it in case I knock it on the way over. What else have I been up to? I've got rid of a lot of scrap wood from under there, and I've used some of it to put a nice shelf in under there. So I've finally got a place for the Z21 to live off the floor, and I'm also planning to put a programming track on here, which is what that switch is for. So the plan would be, because I've got the white Z21 without the separate programming track input, I'll just snip the track wires, send them through the switch, and then obviously I'll be able to switch it one way to send the power to the layout, and the other way to send power to a little programming track here, so I can have that separate, because it's never really been a problem before with Bodnum Woods, because it's a small layout and it was very quick to take everything off the track to program a new loco. Only took a couple of minutes, but I think with the new layout, if I've got these sidings full of locos and I just want to program one loco, that means I've got to take every single DCC loco off the track, otherwise they'll obviously interfere with the one I'm trying to program. I've decided to host dinner parties in here, so I've got a nice dining table. Maybe not. What I'm actually doing is this is the middle bit of my parents' old dining table that they couldn't even get rid of to a charity shop. So all I've done on either side of the layout is just put a little strip of wood here and a little vertical one there, and the idea is this just happened to be the perfect size to slot in there. And it just drops down there, and I've got a nice table to do reviews on, or work on buildings and so on, or whatever I'm working on. And then obviously when I need to get to the back there, it just lifts out, and I'll store it under here somewhere out of the way. And the other thing I did in my little tidy up session was I've pretty much tidied up the wiring, so I just had some of these cable clips lying around, so I've neatened all that up. All the way underneath it's fairly neat now, so there's nothing dangling down that's going to get snagged. It's still a bit loose over here, but I just need to finalise the point motors before I know how tight I can tie it up, so that's still to do, but it's a lot neater than it was. A quick update on the Class 08. You may remember I did a video on how to wire the DCC chip in, and that all worked fine, but when I came to run it a bit more, I wasn't really happy with the slow speed running, and I've done a couple of things to try and improve this. So this will be split into two bits. So the first bit is track voltage. As you may know, I run the Z21 with the lowercase z, and it's the white one. And one of the things it doesn't do is let you alter the track voltage through the settings. The setting's there and you can change it, but it doesn't have any effect on the actual track voltage itself. And I've never had any problems with this. It's never sort of blown any chips up or any accessories or anything. It's all ran perfectly fine. So I did read about this when I bought the Z21, but I just kind of forgot about it because it didn't cause me any problems. But then I had this, let me try and show you. Don't know if it's picking it up, but it sort of judders ever so slightly back and forth. I'll try and get it even slower than that. I wanted to try and improve that, and I thought maybe with the track voltage, maybe the track voltage is too high and it's causing it to sort of get full power and then cut out and full power and cut out, which is how the sort of DCC is controlling its power to the motor. So I thought that might be one problem. So I looked at how to lower the voltage on the Z21 with a lowercase z. Turns out there's quite a few complications to this, because you can't actually just stick your cheap multimeter across the track if it's DCC and just measure it that way, because it won't be accurate. Fortunately, there's a very cheap way of fixing it, and that is this, which is a bridge rectifier. I'll pop the details on screen, and it cost me a whopping 19p. And what you do is, if you put the terminals with the wiggly symbol on the track and then measure using your multimeter across these terminals, so you put it on the track there and measure it across there, and you measure it with, don't tell me, the DC, the direct current, so you measure it with that one, that voltage, because it'll turn the alternating current into a direct current. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not very good at electronics. So, long story short, I used that to measure the voltage, and I think it was around 17, something like that. And again, I found a way to lower the voltage, which is again very cheap. You just get a load of diodes, and they cost, again, they cost sort of pence, a matter of pence each, and you wire them in a certain way at the into the DCC bus. So the DCC bus comes out the back of the Z21, and let's follow the red wire. So it goes into this terminal block, comes out, and it's connected to the diodes. So there's sort of two strands. All the diodes on this section are pointing one way, and then all the diodes on this section are pointing the other way. So you can see that after that it goes simply into the next one, and this just, you can see it just loops around just to continue it, and comes out into the red wire there, which is basically the track wiring itself, and the black wire simply goes into the terminal block, out the other side, and carries on to the layout there. And there is another black wire that's going to the other bit of the layout there, but I'll put a diagram of this up which should make it a lot clearer. But yeah, basically 10 diodes, 5 one way and 5 the other, right at the start of the sort of DCC bus wiring. So I just got it on, getting loads of reflections, but I've just got it on voltage, I assume that means DC, and 20. So if we put that across, obviously you can make up leads for this to make it a lot less fiddly, but it was about 16.7, something like that, and hopefully you can now see that it's about 13.5. So drop the voltage down, and that did make a difference, but didn't cure it completely. As I say, there's still, to me, hopefully that's coming across on the camera, it's still a bit juddery. But if you have got a Z21, that's the white one, and you do want to lower the track voltage, it turns out it is actually quite easy and cheap to do. So the second part was, after a lot of searching around, I did find a reference to CV50, which is motor settings. So this is the Lens Silver Mini chip. So let me just show you. 50 and read. It's set to 0, which is the default. I think the settings are 0 to 5. So if you have a play about with these, I found that 5 was the best setting. So if we've set that to 5 now, and let's see if you can see any difference. So that's with CV50, and hopefully you can see that it's a lot smoother. It's also a lot slower as well. That's sort of maximum speed now, which is fairly realistic for a Class 08, but yeah, hopefully you agree that it's a lot smoother than it was. Now the next stage of the layout is I'm going to sort out point control. Now the DCC Concepts Cobalt point motors that I'm going to use are actually quite flexible, and I might put in the future a physical control panel in there, because you can very easily wire up switches to the Cobalt motors with just a couple of wires and a switch. So that's something I could maybe do in the future, but initially I want to get them controlled via DCC, and I'm going to use the Z21. So, ignoring that for the moment, what they want you to do is take a photo of the bit of your layout, and then sort of superimpose on that the various points. So you just select whichever point you want and move them around on top of the photograph. However, it would take quite a few photos, so I'd have to flip through quite a few screens to do mine. So instead, what I decided to do was lay it out more of a sort of logical layout and just do a diagram myself. So briefly, what I did was started laying out the points, and then I took a screenshot and then sent that to the Mac. So I ended up with this. The idea being, this is the fiddle yard. This is the Arley station, and this is the main Kidderminster bit. So after a few attempts of sending screenshots back and forth, I came up with this, and then imported it into, loaded it up into Photoshop, and simply started, as you can see, just drawing simple lines over the points and carried on doing that, and I've even colour coded it into different line colours, which I'll explain in a minute, and so on, and did a few and sent it back to the iPad to check it, because all you have to do is, if you just airdrop it back into the iPad, it goes into your photo library, so you can literally just get it back from the photo library, and you can see here is the various attempts that I had. I think it helps if we're that way up, photo library, and that's what I ended up with. So that's the background. Obviously once I'd put all the lines on, I simply removed the screenshot background and stuck my own background in. I did the rest of the lines, and as I say, set it as the background, and we've ended up with this. So we've got 3 sections. We've got the top bit is the main Kidderminster part. Then, as I say, the fiddle yard is here, and then the other bit on the other side of the layout is Arley, which is here. So I've got the whole control system on one screen, and I've even started playing around with some routes. So these buttons will switch multiple switches to do various things. So we're in sort of editing mode there. So if we go out of that and into sort of running mode, you can see it better. So these do various things to all the points depending on what route I want to go down. So I need to delete that, don't I? But yeah, we've got the green is the London Midland line. So that's the London Midland up and down line there at Kidderminster. And then we've got a sort of GWR cream colour, which I thought would be appropriate for the Severn Valley bit. And yeah, we've got a sort of grey for the fiddle yard. So yeah, all the points are set up in the Z21, and they've all got numbers starting from 100. So now we actually have to put the physical motors in and program them up with the correct numbers. So I'll show you an example of that. Right, programming the Cobalt digital point motors is very simple, so I'll just go through that briefly now. All I've got is my Z21, and the plug out the back with the 2 track wires is here, and literally the first 2 connections are DCC in. So you don't even need to do any soldering for this bit. Now you could program these up sort of as you attach them, you know, fix them into your layout. But I decided to get them all programmed up in one go, just because I thought it would be easier and quicker. So it's simply a case of, as I say, plug it into the DCC system. There's a little switch on the front. If you slide it that way, so it's that way, it says set, and the other side says run. So to program it, you just switch it that way, so that little switch is on set, and now you literally just operate the point as if you were using it. So I'll try and get this in shot. So you switch from the train, and because, as I say, this is 108, so that needs to be programmed with number 108, which is this one here, you can see. So if we operate it a couple of times, switch it back to run. And operate it again. And that's it. So there it goes. One down, 11 to go for now, so let's get the rest of those programmed. So that's about all I've done. The next thing is obviously to install all of those point motors, which remember is only half of the amount that I need for the layout. I have done one, so I'll show you that, and then I think we'll end the video there because it's getting rather long, and I'll crack on with the rest of the point motors. Okay, so this is the one I've done. You simply you get a sticky pad with the point motor. So if we go underneath where that point is, so 2 new connections off the DCC bus into the DCC in, and then the third one is the point frog. So you plug in the frog into the third one, DCC into the first 2, you stick it on with the sticky pad, just stuck it on where I thought, and then just sort of adjusted it slightly as I needed, and obviously that goes up through the holes that I did remember to drill, and the bar just slots into the point at the top. So because I've programmed them all, that is now ready to go. And I've snipped off the bar level with the top of there. So that is this area here. So you can see it's that point there, 101. And that is that. So we've got the frog powered and live all the time, so we're no longer relying on these blade contacts here. The only other thing you have to do, or it's certainly best to do, don't know if you can see it, but say on this one there is a little tiny little spring wire in there to give you the click. With the Cobalt point motors, it's best to remove that. It just gives you a smoother action, and it doesn't flick across too early or too late and short out because we're using the frog polarity. So pleased with that, but yeah, 11 more to do at the moment from what I've got, and then need to buy another 12 and do those as well. So I'll crack on with that. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.